Hello everyone, in this video we'll try to learn how to set default Blender video editing workspace. So when you open up Blender, right, it should automatically come up Blender video editing workspace. Let's just begin. So if I open up Blender video editor, right, so by default this page will come up. I'm using Blender 4.1 version, so by default right, this will come up, and then you can select based on your whatever work you are doing, like VFX or 2D animation, all those stuff. So majority of the stuff, right, I do work on video editing, so I want video editing workspace to be opened by default. We'll also learn how to reset as this default view. So what I can do is, right, I can just open up this Blender video editing, and then there is an option to set this, right. If I go here, file in option, right, and then there is an option defaults, and then if I save startup file, right, there is an issue with this. Currently if I try to do save startup file, right, click on save startup file, it says that in down, right, in this startup file saved. But if I close this, right, and then if I open again Blender video editor, it doesn't work. So it comes up as a default again, that view only. So there is a workaround which you can learn. So what we have to do is, right, just click on video editing one more time, and then just do a small modification anywhere. So let me just change this end frame to 251. So what I'll do, I'll just make it as 251, and then I'll save this. I'll type Control yes, and then I'll save as startup video editing, and then I'll just save this as Blender file. Once it is saved, right, so what you can do now, you go to file and then default and then save startup file. I can click on save startup file. So now if I close this Blender tool, right, and then open up again, so now if I open up, right, if you see, right, it came, this pop-up is still there but in a background, right, by default it is there. So you have to just click anywhere and then it goes off and you can start video editing by default. So let me just show you one more time. I'll close this and then I'll open up again Blender video editor. So by default, right, this pop-up will be there, but anyhow in the background, right, you will have this Blender video editing workspace, so you can directly start working on it. This is how you can set default as Blender video editing workspace when you open up Blender. But let's just learn now how to reset it. So because now, right, I don't want this, I've changed my mind, I want my default view when I start up the Blender, right. How you can do is, right, you can go to file and then just click on defaults, and there is an option like load factory settings. So if I click on load factory settings, right, then again you have to click on this button, load factory settings, and this comes up here, right. What you have to do, you have to just save. I'll just save it as default startup, and then I'll save it and then just close it. And now if I open up, right, once you save, right, what you have to do, you have to again go to this file and then go to save startup file. Once you do it, save startup file, right, just close this. And then if I now open the Blender video editor, right, so now if you see, right, the default page which we had, right, by default view, it came up by default. So this is what I want to just show you, how to set and reset any workspace as a default, how to remove and set it as a default one which comes up as a Blender, right. This is what I want to cover in this video. Thank you all for watching. Bye bye.